Please welcome Vital Voices founder and former U.S. Secretary of State, Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anything going on today? Well, I have to tell you, there's nowhere I'd rather be than right here. I'm so happy to join you and to really see and feel the support coming from all of you for Vital Voices. And I also know somewhere in the audience is the host of the very first Vital Voices conference, Swanee Hunt. And I always want to thank Swanee for her vision and her leadership, without which I don't think we would all be here together tonight. You know, the Vital Voices Global Leadership Awards are always inspiring, and we especially need that inspiration today to know that women across the world are leading progress on so many fronts, whether it's on mobilizing against the erosion of democracy or fighting to make climate change real in the minds of people and deal with mitigation and adaptation. But it goes on all the time. It doesn't always make headlines, but it's critical, important work. And later tonight, Vital Voices will recognize an international collaboration that is led by members of the Vital Voices Global Network to implement the Safe City app, which helps prevent gender-based violence through data-empowered mapping. And I think that is such a great use of technology, because we all know technology has its dark side. So trying to use it to better understand and protect women against gender-based violence is an extraordinarily important Vital Voices initiative. But first, it's my honor to present the Global Trailblazer Award to a friend of mine, someone who I am so admiring of and is also now a colleague with me at Columbia University School of International and Public Affairs. You know, in an age where truth is a bulwark between democracy and authoritarianism, Maria Ressa is holding the line. As an investigative journalist and founder of the news site Rappler in the Philippines, she exposes corruption and counters disinformation at great personal risk. Over her 37-year career as a journalist, she has been repeatedly targeted by intimidation campaigns, viciously attacked online, the subject of all kinds of harassment and intimidation. But she remains a strong, persistent, even joyful voice about what's facing us in the world today. She understands the very serious threats that disinformation poses to us, and for her courage and her efforts to fight for free expression, she received a Nobel Peace Prize in 2021. You know, Maria is someone who sees the dark side. She understands the risks and the threats and the dangers, but she keeps going. And that in and of itself is inspiring. She really is on the front lines of change, yet refuses to back down in the face of pushback. She continues to defend the truth, to protect journalism and journalists, and stand up for democratic values. It really is something that I hope more journalists know, because being a journalist in today's world is a very, very dangerous undertaking. And we have to show solidarity and support for journalists across the world. to give you a sense of Maria in action, we have a preview from the award-winning documentary about her work and life, 1,000 Cuts.
Mr. President, is it important that people be afraid of you? Fear.
Yes.
Hello and welcome. I'm Maria Ressa.
Maria Ressa carries the torch of press freedom in a country held in thrall by a populist president.
It started with the drug war.
Do not do drugs because I will kill you.
President Duterte began his administration with the drug list.
This is the drug industry of the Philippines.
He showed everyone a list. People on that list started dying.
I'm telling the Filipino people it's gonna be bloody.
We demanded the government be held accountable.
Duterte was annoyed by our reporting.
You are a fake news outlet. They will be allowed to criticize us, but you go to jail for your crime.
We started getting attacked on social media. The government created disinformation networks, so people have no idea what the truth is. I was getting an average of 90 hate messages per hour.
We don't even know whether we can trust the police to protect us.
Just because you're a journalist, you're exempted from assassination.
We didn't even realize how dangerous it is for you.
Why are you crying?
Because I'm scared for you.
Maria Ressa has been arrested.
The charges against Ressa were aimed at intimidating those who challenged Duterte's rule.
So why should you care about what happens in the Philippines? They test the tactics of how to manipulate America in our country. If it works, they port it over to the rest of the world.
Maria Ressa was one of 4 journalists named as Time Magazine's Person of the Year.
Maria won't be afraid. I'm afraid for her.
What we're seeing is death by 1,000 cuts. Little cuts of Philippine democracy. We will not duck. We will not hide. We will hold the line.
So on behalf of Vital Voices, it is my great honor to present the 2024 Global Trailblazer Award to Maria Ressa.
You know, in the darkest hour, one of the first voices that supported us was Hillary Clinton. So thank you, Hillary, for your courage and the incredible work that you keep doing. And thank you, Vital Voices, Dion and Elise, for recognizing the work we do at Rappler. In order to be here today, I had to ask my Supreme Court for approval to travel because, let's see, it started with so many investigations, and then there were 11 criminal charges, and slowly, over 8 years, those went down to, I have 2 criminal charges left. So, you know, in the Philippines, Asia's largest Roman Catholic nation, I always say that where are we today? And this is hope for you. We were in hell, and now we're in purgatory. Here's the problem we all face. We are living in toxic sludge. The tech platforms that connect us hacked our biology. Lies laced with fear, anger, and hate spread faster and further than those really boring facts. That has turned our world upside down. Imagine telling your child to lie. I'm going to reward you. Keep lying, right? Is it, well, we know what happened today, as Hillary said. I've said this over and over in the last 8 years. Without facts, you can't have truth. Without truth, you can't have trust. Without these three, we have no shared reality, no democracy, let alone fight the existential problems we have like climate change. Nika laid out all of the problems, the most recent ones, the world on fire that we live in. But, here's how it comes down to me, because I live on social media. According to social media, exploited and used by power and money, for power and money, social media says, I am a communist and a CIA agent. I am anti-Semitic, and I'm anti-Palestinian. None of that is true because I don't live in a world of extremes, right? There are grays, it's a tough world, and we have to navigate that. Big tech has ghettoized our world, dividing us in ways that make all our work as journalists, as civil society, nearly impossible. And women both bear the brunt and are leading the charge to reclaim our rights. So what do we do? Because we must, right? In 2022, we released a 10-point action plan that was largely aimed at the European Union, which won what I call the race of the turtles because they came out with the DSA, the Digital Services Act, the DMA, the Digital Markets Act, and the AI Act. But let me boil this down to just 3 points. Stop surveillance for profit. Human rights are digital rights. And yes, please. Sorry. This new business model, surveillance for profit, we didn't hear about it till 2019, but that business model takes all of our data, you didn't consent to it, and creates what they call models, but we can call clones of each of us. AI, the first generation, takes all of our clones, makes a master database, and that's used to micro-target us. That's different from advertising because it finds our weakest moment to a message and sells it to a company or country. That is insidious manipulation. That surveillance for profit underlines the hype behind AI. 2, stop coded bias. If you're a woman, LGBTQ+, Black, brown, or from the global south, if you are marginalized in the real world, you are further marginalized online. And we in the global south, again, colonized, this time by Silicon Valley code with its built-in biases. Well, we're colonized twice because our people in the global south are the ones who clean up that data so that you can use it in the global north. 3, journalism as an antidote to tyranny. Thank you, Hillary, for always pointing that out. Your journalists face this battle, our audiences, the trust that we've tried to build, that's been eroded by big tech as the business model has been eroded, but we keep going. So let me just end with how does this look in action, because you've heard the problems, right? And I think strangely enough, this creative destruction moment, we can do a lot now. We need to move away from tech, leave this behind, especially if you're below 18 years old. Sorry. It is If you don't, well, even if you do, it is only going to get worse with generative AI, and you are going to vote, right? The enshittification of the internet, this is now in full swing with the chatbot arms race. And this has got to change, because without integrity of facts, we cannot have integrity of elections. Five or 6 years ago, I said 2024 is the tipping point year for democracy. And it is. South Africa went to vote yesterday. The EU is going in June. You are going in November, right? So everything is in your hands. This window to protect, preserve democracy, it's still open. But what you do will determine what happens next. So let's stop being users of this tech and become citizens. Let's redefine what civic engagement means in this age of exponential lies. In the long term, it's education. We need to understand that this technology is addictive, is causing harm to our kids. The US Surgeon General just said last May, right, there are greater incidents of sleeplessness, higher suicide rates for young girls, eating disorders, and an epidemic of loneliness. In the medium term, it's legislation. At the Harvard commencement speech, when I said this next sentence, one woman clapped, and I looked at her. You're going to guess. We must reform or revoke Section 230 of the 1996 Communications Decency Act. It was Elizabeth Warren who clapped. We must stop the impunity, right? And in the short term, finally, it's you. It's us. The people in this room, the people watching. What you do will determine whether democracy lives or dies. This time matters. We need to prove that we can move from the rubble that we're standing on and build better. So the time is now. Please join us.